Uh, Good day, everyone. My name is Tanaka, and I'm going to be your tutor for this programming session, the first one of this week. There's going to be a next one coming up on Wednesday. So if you feel like you missed a lot in this session, you didn't understand quite much, feel free to join in on the next session that will be taking place on Wednesday. Um, yeah, so that's about it. So for first tutorial for today, it's going to be divided into two. So the first part is going to be looking at the demonstration of what Aura can actually do. So let me just hint this one out to you. Do not feel intimidated whatsoever about what you're about to see, okay? All the codes or the packages that I'm going to be doing right now in this demonstration, you're going to learn them step by step later on after the demonstration. That is the whole purpose of this tutorial, okay? So feel free to just sit back, relax, and don't feel intimidated in any way about what you're going to be looking at in this demonstration. Then after the demonstration, we're going to go step by step, trying to break down all the pieces and see how they fit in together and be able to do what you're about to see. Okay, so we're going to go through the introduction is our second part of this session. So the first one is just a demonstration. Don't do anything, just watch and see how what Aura does when it comes to data analysis. And in the second one, we're going to be looking at the introduction to Aura. Then I'm going to take you through whatever you're looking at right now. This is the Aura Studio. We also call it the dashboard of errors. This is where all the tools are that are going to help you out with um, analyzing your data, playing around with it, and anything that you do when you've got a large data set on your like visualizations and things like that. Okay, so we're gonna do that on this in the second part of this tutorial, which is the introduction to R. So the first one is just a demonstration. I'm gonna show you what R exactly does. So, like any other programming language, R has got its own syntax. On top of syntax, these are the rules that R conforms to whenever you type code in any code, any line of code to it that it understands. So that's what we're going to be doing in this one. So whenever you want to analyze your data, let's say you need your data. I'm just going to take one data from the library of R. So whenever you start on RNG, you don't have any packages. So the first thing that you do is to install all the packages that you're going to need. So Aura has got a number of packages that you can make use of. And one of those is the data set that I'm going to need to use. And this one is the Poma Penguins. I'm going to analyze the Poma Penguins data set. And right. So I have to install it first. Then after I've installed it, I'm gonna need to save it in my library. So installing is like purchasing a data set. And then once you have it, it's like purchasing a package. And then once you have your package, you're gonna need to open it up, right? And then say, I need to see the content, I need to make use of the contents within that package. That's what I'm about to do right now. So I've installed, I've purchased my package. The next thing is I need to open it up for you. So I'm just gonna call the library function to do that for me and say I need it within my library so I can make use of it. So if it's done properly, I just get sent to the next line of code. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to install a package I'm going to use to analyze my data sets, right? So one of those packages is the ggplot2. It's one of the most powerful packages that you can make use of in R that helps you to analyze as well as visualize your data. So you're going to see how powerful it is. I'm going to install it first. Then once it has gone through this whole process, what I like about it is that ggplot is very easy to grasp, right? It allows you to do incredible things with it, like analyzing your data, calculating some basic central uh, limit tendency or limit central tendency, I don't know how we call it, the mean, the median, the mode, and stuff like that, just to have a quick look of where your data actually lies, right? So the next thing I've installed it, I've purchased it, I need to save it up, to open it up, right? So please let me hit my ggplot, open up, you're ready for use. So once that is done, I can set the base line of code and I'm gonna start using it. So I want to call upon ggplot. And then what I love about R is whenever you type a function, if it already has it, it's going to give you a suggestion, right? And you can click on one of those suggestions if you wanted to complete up that code for you or that function up for you. So I'm going to just click on this one to make sure that I didn't type any errors in it. Then I'm going to ggplot my data, right? So just get rid of this. Then I want you to look at this one and see. So it also gets to tell you, a pop-up small icon gets to show up and tells you what you can put within that function. So it's going to need data. And I want to give you data. And what data am I going to give it? There's a table within the Palm of Penguins data set. It's got the penguins table. In this penguins table, you can actually see I have the following columns. The species of different species, of the island of different islands. I have different measurements that we're taking on these species that were on different islands. And these measurements included the build length in millimeters, the build depth, flipper length, body mass, and so on, right? So I'm just having a quick view of what is within my table. So once I've done that, there is an amazing function within ggplot2, which is called the IS, right? So what IS does is short for aesthetics. It's going to visualize things for you, right? So I want to say, if you're going to plot anything for me on the y-axis, I'm going to need something like the flipper length, right? So I've seen these ones as my columns within my penguins table. So that's what I'm going to do, flipper length. So always make sure that you type things as they are written within your data set. So this one is flipper length, which is measured in millimeters. And then for my y-axis, I'm going to put maybe body mass. So body mass was measured in grams. So to make sure that I didn't type any errors, I'm just going to click enter, see if it runs. Yes, it perfectly ran. And this is the visual that you get to see on your farm on your far right, right? And then there's nothing on it. So we don't need to visualize nothing. We need to see data on it. So one of the other incredible things about R is if you click on your R on your forward up button, it brings down the last code that you entered. So I'm just going to do that, right? And then it pops up. Then I'm going to say I need to add something on it. So another thing powerful tool that you have within ggplot is the geom point, right? So I need to visualize the data that I have in as data points so I can see how they are aligning on the map. So I'm going to do that and then close it up. That's an amazing function that you can make use of, and then press enter to see if there are any errors. There are no errors. Now I'm seeing points. But remember, I've mentioned that the species column is different species in it. The what is it? What do you say even? The island column has different islands in it. So I can't seem to tell which species tends to have bigger length as compared to body mass or vice versa and things like that. So I need to clearly see what exactly I'm looking at right now, right? So I'm going to add some few things that are going to help me out. So I want to call out a yes again. Then I'm going to ask it to give me the different shape to visualize the different species that I have within within these data sets, right? So if I do that, it gets to do that for me, right? So it's telling me now that the circulars or the dots one, they represent the Adélie species, the chin straps represented by the triangles, and the gintos that are represented by the squares. But it's all mixed up that I can't tell where most of them lies, right? It would be better if we had different colors for different species. So I'm going to play around with that too and see if I can do that. Okay, great. I do have it. So inside it, I'm just going to add column and then say I need color to be in different species and press enter. See if it do that for me. Incredible. Now this is much better. Now we can see the differences between our different species. The blue ones, which represent the gentles, they seem to have quite a large body mass versus a flipper length. So as flipper length increases, body mass also tends to increase. And when you look at the ones in the middle, they're going to be the chin straps. When you look at the last one, they happen to be the adelaide. So this is what Aura can do for you. So once you've done this, now you can actually say, oh, this is the story when it comes to the body mass against flipper length of these three species is telling me. So this is the story that you need to tell. This is the features that you need to see so you can make decisions based on that, right? So this is just a demonstration of what Aura can do. Now what we need to do on the next part is to introduce you guys to R, right? So we're gonna go back now to the starting point of this whole tutorial. What is R? So you've seen how powerful R is. Now the next part is to look at what exactly it is, right? So I hope you all got a little bit of an interesting view of what R can do, and I hope you are a bit motivated to take on this lecture. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this demonstration. If you want to save this, you can just always come here and say save as image, and you can name your image so you can always find it. I'm going to call it Puma Penguins. Penguins. No, it's weird that I never actually gave it a label. Right, it's weird. Should also give it a label. So let us just try to do that. See if we can give it a label. Just going to add a label inside here and say labs. Let's give it a title. You can't have graphs that have no title. It doesn't make sense, right? For my penguins, penguins. Let's just say body mass. This as flipper. Much better. Let's have things with a title on them, right? Okay, let's see what I have here. Uh, do I have it? It's looking good. Yeah, yeah. What do I have? 2 hours here. Oh, it was added. So let's just press enter and see if the title will be. It's like I left one closing. Um, okay, I see where the error is. Let's just remove this one. This one is within that. Just gonna try to close this so I don't have to worry much about it. See, should it give me, I got an error. So you need to be inside it. So we have no errors. Yes, let's close it. Let's see. Okay. I need to look at that and see where I've placed it there, but this would take ages. But yeah, we can always add a label on it. I mean, a title onto your graph. I'm gonna work on it and then it will be amazing to look at it. I hope it's gonna give me an error. Okay, this is not gonna close. Let's see if I put 2, 1 to close. So if I put 3, 3, 1 close. So there's an error that I'm having here. Let's see. Former penguins. Close on geom plus geom point share plus facet species plus labs penguins. 2 labs tattoo. This giving me issues now. I should have one here. When everything closes up. But okay, here's where the error is. It wasn't closed there. Okay, that's much better. Now I have a better error. Now, this one is this one. Labs, perfect. Shape species, and we are done. GMIS 2, GMIS 1, 2. Labs, tattoos, good for penguins. Then wonder why I'm having this issue with. Need to give me an error. Good. Let's just move past this. I'll try to debug this issue and see where I made an error. I just wanted to give me an error and send me next to the line of code. So this was just the introduction to R. This is how powerful it can be. You can add labels, you can change the dimensions, you can do a lot of things. So now we're going to our basic or foundations. I'm just going to clean this whole thing up and go to the foundations of R. Right, so this is the foundations of R. We are starting from the start now. Right. Okay, so introduction to R. What is R, right? So R is a programming language. So in order to understand that, we have to understand what is programming, right? So programming is giving instructions to a computer to perform an action or a set of actions, right? Or yeah, set of instructions or actions. That's what we're doing. So if we give you an instruction, right, we want you to do it. So we're doing this onto a computer, telling it, oh, this is what we want you to do. That is programming, right? Once you've done that, you need to understand, like I said, R is one of the programming languages right now. And so what programming is. So what is a programming language, right? So when you look at programming language, these are basically like the words and symbols that we use to write instructions for computers to follow, right? And what I've just described is known as a syntax, right? These words and symbols that refer to as syntax. So when you say syntax, what exactly are they? These are like rules of a certain programming language that kind of defines how words and symbols should be arranged and used, right? So if you're saying the syntax of R, right, it's like what are the rules of this language that whenever we are given, right, what are the symbols and words that when we are given, we can understand and the computer can be able to understand and say, oh, the person is trying to say, print this, do that, right? So these syntax, they are different for different programming languages. The same way there are different ways in which you can write a Chinese language as to English and from English as to a Nigerian language, from a Nigerian language. I wonder what is Yoruba. I have a feeling it's a language. Up until you, yeah, so different rules, different syntaxes are different for different languages, right? So Python programming is a different syntax. R programming is a different syntax. JavaScript, you get to see different syntax. So if you try to use the language rules or the rules of a language of R in Python, you might face a lot of errors. The same applies if you want to do that in for the language that you use in Python into R or that you use in R into JavaScript. Is you definitely run into error. So you need to understand what are these rules, what is the syntax of a certain programming language that you can use. Then the last thing is whenever you're in any programming language, you're basically going to be coding a lot, right? You're basically coding. So your first line of code, I'm going to show you it. You're going to enjoy it. So your coding is basically like writing instructions to the computer in the syntax, right? In the syntax, in the language, in the rules of a certain programming language, of a specific programming language. And like I said earlier on, what are these programming languages? We talked of Python, JavaScript, SAS, Scala, Julia, and lastly, the one that we are in right now, which is R programming. And right now, you might be asking yourself, what are the benefits of actually using any programming language for data analysis, right? It's like a big question. Why can't we just use our calculators or some other system that you used to use back then? Why programming languages? Why should we be using any of this? So the benefits of using a programming language is that it clarifies the steps of your analysis. It is in terms of steps of analysis, like how did you move from point A to point B? You get that done for you because as you are, it gives you like your thought process, your thinking process. How are you thinking from this point to another? How are you putting all your thoughts together? What is it like? So it gives someone, another person, an idea of how you think, of how you process, of how you move from one stage to another. So it allows you to document that up, those steps, and someone else can actually be able to take whatever you have documented and then run it and see if they produce a similar or similar results, or they'll come to a similar conclusion. So it's mostly, it's mostly about that. So you need to make sure that you account for your actions, you account for your steps, you account for the work that you have done, and say, yes, if someone else were to get my work, they're going to be able to follow it step by step as I've prescribed, or as I've written in, as I've documented in this document, and be able to come to the same conclusion. Second is that it saves you tons of time. All programming languages, they can analyze tons of data, right? And this would usually take you like so much time, so much of your time. But with just a click of a button in a few coding lines, you're able to analyze a vast amount of data and saves you tons of time. That's another advantages of using a programming language. And the last one, like I've kind of tried to elaborating the first advantage, is that you're able to reproduce and share your work, right? So once you have done with your analysis and you've got your results, you've got your visualizations, you're able to have some sort of a documentation that these programming languages can allow you to document up, and then give it up, or give it for for peer review, or for other people to look at it. So these are one of the advantages of it. So now this brings us to R. What is R? So R is a programming language that is frequently used for statistical analysis. You can also use it for visualization and other data analysis processes, right? So it is what most people may refer to as, if it, let's just say, the features of R is that it is data centric. That's the main feature of R. It is data centric. When it comes to anything that is to do with analyzing or playing around with your data, R is the number one go-to tool that you can use to do that. So it is referred to as data centric. And the advantage of it is that it is accessible. So anyone who's starting to learn programming can actually find R to be the easiest programming language to ever take. And once you have taken R, you'll be able to understand Python programming. Then from Python programming, you're able to understand even better, far much worse programming languages out there. So yeah, it is very much accessible. Anyone can learn it, and they don't have to cram a lot of stuff from it. And lastly, second from last, is that is open source. Anyone can actually make use of R. They can edit, modify it, and share it with anyone, and no one will penalize you for that or take you to court for it. It is open source. It is free to use. And then lastly is that there is a huge community out there of R to help you out with whatever challenges that are related to R that you may be going through and you need help with them. So feel free to look for such resources and communities out there online, and just dive into such groups, either on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, or meetup groups. There's just everyone there. It is a documentation even for it. I'm going to show you where you can find such resources in R. So now that we have done this, let's go through R. Where do you find it? How do you download it? And things like that. So if you were to go online and just say R download, R programming download, you can find a link to it and you can download right away for your desktop version. So there's two types. You have the online version and you've got the desktop version. So right now I'm accessing R using my browser. So that's the online version, and it's called Posit Cloud. So if you type posit.cloud, you're able to take you to a sign up page. Then you sign up with your credentials. Then you've got your free account. The most affecting thing about your free account is that you have to take note of your RAM here. So you have a limited RAM that you get to use. That's the disadvantages of using a free account. So take note of that. However, if you are to use the desktop version, you don't have to worry about the RAM. It makes use of your computer's RAM. So the desktop version has some advantages to it like that, right? So the desktop version is free. So is the online one, but the online is limited in terms of your RAM, the RAM that you're going to be using to analyze your data set. So if you are to analyze a very huge data set, you might run into problems, right? But if you're using a desktop, it's all about your RAM, how big it is of your computer, and you'll be able to analyze vast amounts of data sets. So there are two ways you can start working with R, either online or using the desktop version. So whichever you pick, you're gonna end up looking at the following dashboard, right? So this is the dashboard that you get to see. When you open it up, it has three panes on it. So this is the first pane, that is the console, the terminal, and the background jobs, right? our first pen is this one. Then we have the second pen, which is the environment pen. So the environment pen is incredible, right? You can get to see a number of things. This is where you can import your data set. So if you click on this import data set, you can save the data that you're actually working with. So workspace, you can actually save it. You can also load a certain workspace or files that you might want to upload, right? This is where you can get to do it. And then there's the history tab on this second pen. If you click on it, it gets to show you all the packages that you've used or the code that you've used. And if you just double click on it, it will just bring it back up here. And that's one benefit of it. You don't have to rewrite code every time. So the last one is usually the last code that you use, and the first one is usually the first code that you ran. So always feel free to make use of this one. Then on our last pen, you can see we have the files. If you click on the files, it takes you to the directory that you're currently working in. This is our directory. I had saved this page earlier on. Then there's the plots, right? So the plots is where you can find all the plots that you have done, that you've produced. And then we have the packages. Also on the packages side, it's amazing. You have a number of packages that you can make use of. On top of some of the packages, the ggplot, that's where you can find it. So if you see anything that is ticked on it, that means it's already saved. So if you want it, you can just click on it and then it will save it up within your system. If you're on desktop, it saves it up like for life, right? As long as you're not gonna format your PC, that package will remain within your environment and you don't have to install it over and over again. All you have to do is just to call upon the library function and then have it within the environment that you can make use of. And then if you need help, like I said earlier on, Aura has got a huge community that is there waiting for you. And if you need help with anything, feel free to click on any of these links and they will take you to whatever information that they tend to have and it can be quite helpful for you. So there's like the cheat sheets, you can actually make use of it. And yeah, there's a lot of things. If you have packages that you don't understand that you want help with, you can always click on it. It will take you to an online page where you can look at different packages and how you can use them for your data analysis and a number of things. Now, whenever you start Aura, or if you're starting off the first time, you have three pens, but there's a fourth pen that is always hidden. So if you come on file and then you click new file and then you say Aura script, there's the fourth pen. It's always hidden by default. Now in this pen, what you basically make use of is documentation. Here, whatever I have in this first pen, right? If I close Aura, it's going to be closed. But on this one, it gets to be served. So you can create your Aura scripts using this pen, and then you can produce that for someone else to go through and make use of your scripts. Or you can run this script later on if you want to rewrite everything again. Let's say you've gone through a huge programming marathon and you don't want to go through it again. You can just save your script, and then if you have a different data set that needs to be analyzed, you can just run that script. All you have to do is just to change the file directory of where our programming needs to find the data that it needs to work with. Okay, so that's one thing that you have to understand. Then we have got the tools section here up on top. So if you look at it, it can, if you go down to keyboard shortcuts, you have a whole huge list of shortcuts that you can make use of. So always feel free to look at what can save you time, right? There are some repetitive things that you'll be carrying out, and our programming can allow you to add these shortcuts and saves you tons of time. Okay, looks like I'm running out of battery. Just need to power up my machine for this one. Let's see. Okay, so that was about the tools. Let's look at something else different. You to save this. Okay, looks like I can't access this one. Great, it's gone. Now, if you to go on view, right, and then you want to rearrange how your pens are looking like, you always make use of it. So on pens, then you go and adjust however you want to adjust your pens, right, based on which ones you use the most. Now, coming back to our pens, we have all these plans. Like I said, this one is where you document your stuff, right? So if I were to write welcome to, then say print, then I run the script. It gets to run in the console, right? And then what did it print? Welcome to our programming, right? So it did this for me here. So if every code I'm going to write in here, it gets to run within our console, right? And then this script gets to be saved. So you can always set the script and go and run it later on. So I press and save, and then I just call it my first script. Okay, I'm gonna use script one. That works. Script -1. So that's my first script. So this script is going to be saved as whatever I'm going to type here is going to be saved. And then I have to just keep on saving it so I can always make use of it. So you can write your coding in here, and then you can do your comments, you can do a number of things. Then when you look at it, and when you download it and you save it and you open it up, it's going to do a number of things for you. So it documents everything in a nice format based on how you were doing it. Then you can save it properly there. So this is like the introduction to the board, right? So I think I've covered a number of things for you, and you can now navigate around it. Now, what is next is for you guys to learn about basic things when it comes to R. Let's remind, sorry, so what are the basic things? When it comes to R, remember that coding is very sensitive to cases that you're going to be using. I use print, right? Let's say I'd use a bigger print, right? And then I call it welcome. Okay, let's just delete this and then just edit this one. So I don't have to do a lot of things. And then I run it and see what I'm going to get is an error. It is case sensitive. So you need to make sure that whatever you're typing is in relation to how it is used. If it's a function, it's the way it was written so that R can understand it. If you try to use any other writing that R doesn't understand, you're going to run into an error. So always consider that whenever you do your analysis. Another thing is if you've got a function that you actually do not understand, you can always call upon the help function and on any function. And how you do it is quite easy. You have to put on a question mark, and then you type that function in, then you call help. Okay. Supposed to send me it. I don't know why I'm facing an issue with it, but it's supposed to send in a whole documentation of, well, oh, there it is. It showed up on this side. So yeah, feel free to always look at the print function. Now the print function is supposed to, okay, I didn't run it. I just pressed enter. I had forgotten that I'm not in the console. I'm supposed to run this script. Then if I run it, did I save this one? Yes, I must have done that. So let's just put this one on a hash. And then we run the script. Yes, here's the print. Now it's just telling you what you can do with print. So always feel free to make use of this part. So this kind of brings us to the first introduction of R and a way around it. Is with signing up, the installation, the IDE, and everything that you need to know about R, right? So we talked about the console, right? What it does. So what I love about the console is we talked about installing of packages. You can actually do it here. You can type, I'm now installing my packages. So by putting the hash, let's say installing packages, installing ggplot packages, packages, and then say install dot, I'm gonna have to comment this one out. It doesn't run again. Install packages. So yeah, wait, actually just to show you. And say ggplot. Then if I run the script, it's gonna run it again. So I don't want to do that because I've already ran it before and it might cause some conflicts with the current package that I have. So I'm just gonna say no. But if you had not run this before, you'll be lucky to just not get this message on your Windows. I'm not gonna do that. So this is what's really important about the hour scripts. It helps you document your work up, right? So there's some functions like summary, right? Like I said earlier on, if I want to, since I've already done this package, I can just call up summary on the penguins table so I can get like a summary of everything within the penguins. I'm gonna need to comment this one out so it doesn't run and see what kind of summary I can get. So the summary is basically like the mean, the median, the mode, the big value, the small. So look at build length, the biggest value that we had, the minimum one was 32 millimeters, and the highest one was 59 millimeters. So you're kind of getting all that visual, the same thing that you're getting here on a build depth, and our bottom line when it comes to the data set that we were kind of looking at, right? We have the source editor. What we like about it. Let's say maybe we just want to view our data, right? The penguins table that I was looking at. So if you run this function, penguins view, remember, I want you to notice how we have got a capital letter V here instead of a smaller v. So like I said earlier on, all these things are very sensitive to the letters that you're going to be typing. So I'm just going to run this and see what's going to pop up. Oh, great. Now, what I'm looking at is this whole table, right? This set flat up on my screen. Like I said earlier, I want to show you how you can actually do that. And you can just look at it. You can have a quick view of your data. You can see here on number 4 that there's a number of missing values on it, except the year. So something must have happened to it. And if you don't want this to affect your data, you can always remove it and have a very clean data for all that. So that's what I like about the penguins. And once you've done the view, it pops up another window here. And you can just go back to your script just by pressing this one, and you're back to it. I think this is basically the everything that you need to know about all these things that we have here. What could be left? So yeah, that's our tool, our basic tool. This is basically it. The next thing that you guys need to learn is the functions that we have in R, right? We have a number of functions. Sorry, I need to comment this one out so it doesn't run. If I leave it uncommented, it's gonna run, right? So whenever you put a hash, right, we're gonna talk about it. So there's just some simple terms that you need to learn in R, right? We're just gonna go through the first one. First one is functions. We talked about these earlier on, right? So functions are basically a group of tools. This basically a tool that someone has created up for you. So these were created by other, like I said, this is open source. So someone was really got tired of typing a long code just to print something. You know, they're like, I just need to save this code and then name it print. So we're gonna also teach you later on how you can create your own function. I think the Stanford certificate has already taught you how to do that, how to create your own function. But someone is just like, I'm tired of printing this. Let's just have the steps that leads to something being printed and then name it print and give it a name print and then call that whole thing a function, right? So they created a function, then they call it print, and they're like, let's just call it. So this is like the different function that we have. So anything that has got a name on it, and then parentheses next to it, we refer to that as a function. So you have print as a function. We have used summary. If you've noticed, summary is a function. From summary, if you're doing addition, sum is also a function, right? if you're dealing with data frames, then you have got add as a function. So whenever you call add, it knows that you need to add everything that is within it. And then, sorry, I need to have average here. Average, whenever you call upon the function average, it knows that you need to calculate the average of the numbers that you have. Whenever you call upon the sum function, Python will understand that you need to add all the numbers that you're going to put inside or before it. If you do the same thing for mod, it's going to understand that you need the most occurring number or the frequent occurring number within a list that you have given it. So you understand about functions. So functions usually have parentheses next to them, opening and closing, and so on, right? So we've done the first part. Now the second part is commenting. This is basically what I was doing. So whenever you want to comment something, right, R will read it as strings or anything that doesn't need to be run. That's why I was commenting all these functions that I had placed in just by putting hash. So a hash is used for commenting. So commenting is great when you want to inform whoever's looking at your code, like below, this is what I'm going to be doing, right? So here I said simple terms that you need to know. So now you know that below it, I'm going to be taking some simple terms that you find in Python. And the first one is the functions term, right? So you need to know these ones, right? That was the first one. So commenting helps you to tell people what exactly is going on within your script, what is going on within your Python environment, I mean your R programming environment. So commenting, you make use of hash. Then when you look at variables, right? Variables is our second one. There's some simple terms I need to know. Someone says, this is my variable. So variable is what we give when you want to save something and then use it later on, you can assign it to a variable. So a variable can be A. Then I say A. So I'm going to talk about the next one, which is an assignment, right? So in R, in Python, you get to use an equal sign and say, A, I'm assigning you the value 5. So whenever you call A, it's going to give you 5 back. But in R, it's different. We don't use an equal sign. We use the dash, I mean, the smaller than and a dash sign like this one, which kind of makes an arrow saying 5 is being assigned to a variable A, right? So A being a variable is being given a value 5. So if I run this script, oh, wait, I need to comment this a because they're going to run hash, 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 and then hash. So I'm going to run this one. So what's going to run is this one, which is not commented out. So anything that is commented, I will consider something that doesn't need to be run off. So it skips it, but it just says it, it skips it. And then anything that is not commented is a code to R. It's going to be read as a code, right? And then R is going to run it. So if I do that, there's an amazing thing that gets to happen here, right? So what you see is this table that pops up, right? So you have your A that has been assigned a value of 5. So if I want to use A later on in the program, I can just call upon A and say run A. And then if you look at my console, right, it has given me 5 and say you asked of A and A has the value of 5, right? So let's say I have B that I'm going to assign a value of 4, right? And then run it again. Then B is going to pop up here and say B has been given the value 4. And I'm going to say C. C, I'm going to assign it the value of B plus A, right? Run it again. And then C is going to be given in a certain value of 9, right? So if I call C later on in the program and I want to know what C holds in its value, I'm going to get 9. If I say print C, all right, then I run it again. It's going to print 9 for me. Say, okay, you asked for me to print C. C represents 9. So this is how variables works, right? So variables, they're usually given or assign values to them. So always look into that and watch out for it. So yeah, we're done with the second term that you need to understand when you do with R programming. The third one are the different data types that we have, right? So we might be asked about the different data types. Do you understand them, what they are? So I'm just gonna comment this one out, or if it, I'm just gonna delete, get left with one, with this one, or two, and press enter. Hash say 3 dot. We're gonna look at data types, right? So what are the different data types that I have, right? So the